Good evening, Cricut family South Africa. My name is Soraya. Welcome to this Cricut beginner class. If you can hear me and see me, please let me know in the comments. Hello Rishni, welcome to the class. Hello Amy. Okay, while we're waiting for confirmation that you can hear me and see me, I'm going to explain a little bit what we're going to be doing in this class today. So I'm very excited. We're going to be doing all things Iron-On. Hello Raksha, welcome. Hello Humaira. Hello Sashi. So I'm going to wait for just a few minutes so that we can have a few more people joining. Rabia said, I can hear you. Thank you so much, Rabia. Wassalam, Layla, welcome. Okay, so we've got quite a few people in the class today. So once again, welcome and good evening, everyone. My name is Soraya. Today we are going to be doing a Cricut beginner class on Iron-On Vinyl. This class is proudly sponsored by Logitech and Cricut SA. And remember, if you cannot stay to the end of this video, you can always watch the replay. The replay is available on Facebook and it's also available on YouTube. So you can come back and catch the replay whenever you can. So before we get started, everyone in Johannesburg, we are doing Decorex. Let me know if you've been today or if you're joining. Hello Beatrice, I love seeing new names in the comments. That means we have a bunch of new people joining this beginner class. Some of you know we had the East Coast Radio House and Garden show last month. Yes, it was last month. I've been sick since then. So I'm hoping that I can make words all the way to the end of this class. But we did have the House and Garden show and we have some new people joining us. Some new people who bought machines, and so I'm very excited for this beginner class. Also, there are some incredible specials at Decorex. So if you haven't seen yet, please do go and join. Sarah said she's going on Sunday. There's some amazing machine bundles. It's machines with a heat press, which I think is absolutely fantastic. The prices are amazing. And so we're probably going to have a few more new people joining us. Okay, what are we doing today? So today we are doing Iron-On. This is going to be a very basic class for beginners. I'm going to show you how you can customize this makeup bag. I did have a little snack bag as well, but the snack bag went bye-bye. And now we are just here with this makeup bag. So I'm going to show you how you can customize this makeup bag. You can use the same techniques for t-shirts or anything that you are using Iron-On Vinyl with. So just a few other things about vinyl. Iron-On Vinyl. When you're working with Iron-On Vinyl, of course you need a heat press or an iron or some kind of heat source. I'm going to be using my Cricut EasyPress Mini. So before we get started, I'm just going to do a very quick little introduction on what Iron-On is. So some of you may have heard the term heat transfer vinyl. Heat transfer vinyl, Iron-On Vinyl, they are the same thing. Cricut calls it Iron-On Vinyl. So there are different types of Iron-On Vinyl. They are beautiful. You will absolutely get lost in the world of the most gorgeous iron-ons. I brought just a few here to show you and explain a little bit about what you may need for your project. So for most projects, you are going to use everyday Iron-On Vinyl. This is just a regular black everyday Iron-On Vinyl. You can use this on various materials It does say at the back what type of materials you can use it for. Yes, the material does matter. So here I bought Sports Flex Iron-On. So this Iron-On vinyl is called Sports Flex. And so this is the type of vinyl you would be using if you were customizing something that's stretchy, like your yoga pants or your lycra or any kind of workout fabric that's got a little bit of a stretch to it. When you are customizing that, you would want to use your Sports Flex, and they do come in different colors as well, so you can definitely choose. Next up, we have some foils and some holographic. How stunning is that? I used this once to make snake scales. Turned out absolutely gorgeous. And here we have foil iron-on. These foil iron-ons are absolutely gorgeous as well. They have a beautiful shine, and this is a sampler pack, so you get quite a few colors in it. This one's called Spring Meadow and is one of my absolute favorites. So if you're working with cottons, your polyesters, most of the vinyls are good for that. We also have pattern vinyls. If you've seen Cricut pattern iron-ons, these are so great. These make really cute designs. I love using these for letters. They turn out so great. Nadia says, please donate a piece of the check. Okie dokie, I will. Oh wait, she said, what is the code? This is called Lumberjack, if I remember correctly. Yes, it's called Rustic Large Lumberjack Sampler. And if you didn't know, the Cricut vinyls do have a code here. So if you're ever looking for a vinyl and you don't know what it is, the code for this one is 2008403. And it actually has 3 different patterned vinyls in it. Okay, and then lastly, one of the most important things about iron-ons that I want to explain to you, which is a question that I got asked a lot when we did the East Coast Radio House and Garden Show. So these are both glitter iron-ons. This one says Smart Iron-On and this one just says Iron-On. So a lot of people are confused about what Smart Iron-On means. So these are essentially both glitter iron-ons. They are different colors. But the difference between these two is if you have a machine like the Cricut Joy, Joy Xtra, Explore Air3, Explore Air4, Cricut Maker 3 and Cricut Maker 4, you can cut Cricut Smart vinyls. Okay, so this one is a Smart Iron-On, but you can also cut Smart Permanent. You can actually also cut Smart Cardstock as well, without using a mat. So that's what Smart means. Smart just means that you can load this vinyl directly into your machine without using a mat. If I was using this glitter iron-on, and even if it was the same color gold, this is just regular iron-on. In order for me to cut this iron-on, I would need to use my mat. So that is the difference between Smart vinyls and regular vinyls. So here you can see this is also Smart Iron-On, which is what I'm going to be using today. It comes in a pack that's red. Well, red's the side, white and black. And again, that just means this is a Joy Xtra size, so I can load it directly into my Joy Xtra without using a mat. This is fantastic for projects if you're doing, for example, signage, and you have a sign that's 1 meter long and you're using permanent vinyl, for example. You can cut that 1 meter sign by loading your vinyl, if you got a long enough piece, directly into your machine. So that was one of the questions that a lot of people had when it comes to Smart Iron-Ons or Smart Vinyls. That's just what it means. So we're gonna go to my project. We've shared the link. I'm just going to customize it. Oh, here it is. So I've done 2 designs today. The snack attack, which I've attacked and eaten all of the snacks in that bag, and the second one is the makeup bags. So I didn't say as well, we've got some amazing admin in the comments. So if you have any questions, please do pop them in the comments. I'm also keeping an eye on the comments. If I do miss them though, we have an amazing team that can assist. Okay, so Candace said she gets it now. Smart has a mat already. Yes, I actually love that. She's capitalized the M, A, and the T in smart, and she said already has the mat. Candace, I like that. I'm going to explain it that way in the future. That is such a great idea. I'm totally stealing that. Okay, so here for our project, I just chose a design from Design Space. I didn't edit it. So what I'm going to do today, because we are a beginner class, I am only using 1 layer of vinyl. I'm going to show you a few other things about Design Space that can actually help you in your designing process. So what I'm going to do for now is I'm going to hide this, and we're going to learn a little bit about the canvas. So I'm going to come here to images, and in order to find the image that I used, I searched makeup. So here you can see on the left hand panel I have some options for some images for makeup, but if I click on advanced search, it will open up a little bit more, and I can scroll through and find different options of what I want to do. A great thing to remember when you are searching for images is that you can also filter these images. You can either search for free if you don't have Design Space access, which I do recommend. There's some great images and some great features with Design Space access. You don't have to think too much about designing. And then there's also excuse me, complexity of your image or your project. And then there's also editable, there's phrases, and you can also filter by the operation. So today we are doing cut, but if you wanted to do a draw, if you wanted to use your pen, you can click on draw and it will only show you images that are related to drawing. So that is one way for you to use the image filter. Excuse me. All right, so I'm going to, this is the one that I used. I decided to make a makeup bag. I do love the one that said might be makeup, might be snacks. I've decided to make this bag for my sister. When she was here last visiting from the US, she left a whole bag of goodies. To be fair, it actually wasn't makeup, it was mostly lip stuff. I was very excited about it, but I don't really use lip stuff. And then I messed it all over my white sheets. Not so excited. So if you want to know the image that I used, it is hashtag M17578634. So yes, you can also search for images using their codes. You would come here where I said makeup and you would put hashtag and the code. So this is so great when you're seeing other people's projects on the group, in the Facebook group that we have. I'm sure you've seen the amazing Cricut ambassadors and a lot of the members, when they share their projects, they let you know what fonts they use and what images they use, so you can easily find those images and use them as well. So that's the one that I used. You can see, oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry for the coughs. I think I had COVID. It's been a rough 3 weeks. I haven't had a voice for about 2 of those 3 weeks. So I'm so sorry for the coughing, but I will try to get through this. So I love these. There's so many options. This is even I just searched for makeup. You can see here, this is actually a cup design. So you can make a cute little cup for someone who likes makeup. So tons and tons. I just went for this simple design, mostly because I absolutely loved how the black Iron-On Vinyl shows so beautifully on the makeup bag that I'm going to use. I think it's very simple. It's very, it pops, it does all the things. So we're going to switch to here. Hello. So before we get started with our design, what I'm going to do is we're going to measure our blank. So this is very important. I know someone who's here in the comments currently who just likes to eyeball it. And she just kind of, you know, goes with the flow and comes up with a measurement. I am not that person. I need to definitely measure everything so I know what canvas I'm working with. And so I'm just going to quickly measure our blank. So this is 19.5, and we are going, and this is 14.5. So coming back to our canvas, why this is important, you can come up here to templates, and you can see here it says cosmetic bag. You can add one of these to the canvas and you see it kind of gives you a little guide. This one does have some measurements. It's probably the Cricut cosmetic bags, but this helps you when you are designing. So this is an absolutely gorgeous feature of Design Space, where you can use templates that are available for you that you can align and adjust and see exactly what your project's going to look like. I'm a little bit on the old school side, so I'm going to add a square to the canvas, and I'm going to size the square to the size that I need. So you can see here at the top I clicked on the lock because my shape is not proportionate, so it was 19 point, oops, nothing's happening, 19.5, 19.5 by 14.5. Okay, I like to add a square and then I change the square roughly to the color of my blank, or if I'm using a circle, then I use a circle. I send it to the back, and this is how I can visualize what my project's going to look like. At the end, you can also click on the shape, the square, come up here to operation and click guide, and it's going to turn it into a guide as well, so that when you go to your Make It page, it's not going to show up on your Make It page. Okay, so the reason I do this for me is just so that I can visualize exactly how big I would like my design to be. So you can either decide this by measuring, or if, like with me, I just like to go with what looks good. And so I just like to freehand sort of drag things around until I think like, oh, that looks really good. If you wanted to make this design a little bit longer, again, just like I did with the square, click on the lock here. And now I'm going to make it a little bit longer. Of course, keeping it in proportion. You can't really like pull it up too long without making the width a bit bigger, because it will distort the wording. But you do have a little bit of playroom where you can, if you wanted to, make the design a little bigger. And I think for this design I went for about a 16.9, somewhere like this. So this is pretty much it. I always like to align things when I'm designing. So I'm going to align center horizontally, and that's it. That's my design. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to delete this because I don't really need it. And I'm going to delete this as well. Our design's ready to make, but as promised, I'm going to show you one design feature or one set of design features or design space features, which is down here in the layers panel. If you see, there is a little button that says combine, and under combine we have weld, unite, subtract, intersect, and exclude. So I'm going to show you subtract and intersect today. Again, just because this is a beginner class, I'm not going to do all of them. I'm just going to do these two, just so that you can learn a little bit more about these little buttons and things that we find on our canvas. So what I've done here is, say for example, you are in Design Space and you see a leopard letter or a leopard something. So for this bag, I was actually debating whether or not to do a leopard print. So this is the inspiration behind this part of the class. So if you wanted to find a leopard letter or leopard S or leopard print S and you couldn't find it, you can create your own just by knowing some of the Design Space features. So what I'm going to do first is, if you saw, I clicked on Cricut Sans up here just to change the font. I'm going to go for a chunky font, so you can see I'm clicking on the arrow. I'm going to choose a chunky font just because I think the chunkier, the more you'll be able to see the design. Okay, and let's just choose something. I'm going to go with Summer Break. I know it's not very fancy, but we're not looking for fancy at the moment. Okay, so I'm going to grab that and I'm going to come here to images and I'm going to search for leopard print. So in Design Space, I'm sure you've also seen that there are quite a few backgrounds or patterns as well. So you can use them to create your own letters. Okay, before I do that, the other feature that I'm going to show you is an offset, which is moved over here. I just found this out today. If you've been to my classes, I'm sure you know I don't use this laptop very often, this Windows laptop. And so today when I came to use the laptop, I was like, oh, things have moved. Okay. So what I did here is I put a 0.2 offset on this letter. Now I'm going to grab both of these elements and I'm going to slice. And I'm going to delete one. Actually, no, I'm not going to delete it. I'm going to change the color to brown. and then I'm going to hide it. Okay, so I've hidden that. And now I'm going to hide my outline. So what I did by slicing the two, I've just made an outline of the S, and I'm going to hide that, and I'm going to bring back my original S. I'm going to change this to a different color so that we can see. And now I'm going to place it over my S. If I wanted the leopard print to be large, I would make it like this. If I want it to be on the smaller side, then I would make it like this. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to duplicate it one more time. So if I wanted to create a leopard print S, grabbing these two, coming down to combine, I'm going to click on intersect, and now I have the outline of a leopard print S. If I grab these two, I can combine, coming back to combine, and I could either unite if I wanted to join them temporary, or weld to combine them forever. And now I've created myself a little leopard print S. So if you had other patterns or flowers, for example, I just did last month a little daisy S for, a daisy T. You can do this with a flower pattern as well if you wanted to create something for yourself. You can also do this by using the subtract button. With the subtract button though, it does matter, or it does make a difference where your S is. So with the S at the bottom, when I subtract, it's given me this design. So you can see it's a little bit different from that one, which is quite nice as well. And from here, if I did it with the S on top and I subtracted, it's just gonna take the S away. So if you're trying this, just remember it does matter where your S is compared to the pattern. But here you can see, just super easy, we've made ourselves two different kind of leopard prints. Sasha says, where can we watch the videos again? Sasha, you can watch the replay. Oh, excuse me. You can watch the replay here on Facebook again in the event section. After 30 days, you can find it in the Cricut South Africa YouTube page. So you can always come back and re-watch them when you're ready to learn about these features. But as a beginner teacher, what I like to tell my beginners, if you are doing a basic design, so this makeup bag design is very basic. I haven't edited, I haven't done anything to it. So I like to then learn a little bit about Design Space. And so just taking a minute to press some of the buttons, see what happens when I press these buttons, what I can do with them. So when I'm doing an easier project, I like to play around and learn some features of Design Space. So here you can see, using the combine section down here, you can create different things with it. So I hope you learned something. I'm going to delete that, and now we're going to go back to our makeup bag, and we're going to cut our iron-on. So the size is perfect. So I'm going to click make. Okay, and today I am going to cut without a mat. So I'm going to click without mat, confirm. We are doing iron-on, and so we have to mirror the design, and I will show you exactly why we need to do this in a second. So I clicked on mirror, Now usually when you come to this page here and you choose Iron-On, which is this, Design Space will automatically mirror your design for you. I've just in the habit of doing it myself. And so you can see here it does say make sure that your mirror is turned on. So let's come back here and come to our mat. So I'm going to put our vinyl on to cut. So when you're cutting Iron-On vinyl, there is a shiny side and there is a, whoopsie, a matte side. So when you are cutting, whether you are using the matte or you are doing it matteless, you always need to make sure that it is the shiny side down, and I will show you why. I'm just going to load this in so it can start cutting our design. So it's going to measure and it's going to start cutting. And go. So the reason why with Iron-On vinyls, why we put the shiny side down, so if I was using my matte as well, is because Iron-On comes with the transfer tape already on it, and I'm trying to read a piece here for you to see. Okay, so this is your Iron-On. You can see this clear backing is the shiny side, which is the side you put on your mat, and this matte side is actually the glue side. And this is why when we are cutting Iron-On vinyl, we mirror our design, because once you read it, you're going to put it on your garment this way. So you can see our design is cutting. And this is Iron-On. I love working with Iron-On. I first started working with permanent vinyl, and then I started working with Iron-On and was like, why did I do that? Okay, so our design is cutting. So if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. Okay, and then while that's cutting as well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you when you are working with Cricut Iron-Ons, Cricut does have a heat app. So I have my 2 heat presses here on the heat app. You would click on your heat press, whichever heat press you were using, and you would say, I'm using Iron-On, everyday Iron-On on cotton, and it will give you the exact time and temperature you need to cut that. If you don't have the heat app, there is an app, do get it, a heat press app. You can also just go to the heat guide, and you can see here today I'm using my EasyPress Mini. So I've selected EasyPress Mini, and I'm gonna say everyday Iron-On, and the material is 100% cotton or whatever it is, and then you click apply. And it tells you with the EasyPress Mini, you need medium heat for 25 seconds. And it gives you some helpful tips on your prep and your application and care so that you can actually get the best cuts. So if you don't have the heat app, do get the heat app. So I can see here that my cut is done. I usually check if the cut has gone through, but I can see it's done. But if you're new here, you know, in my beginner classes, I always weed something. before unloading, especially if you are using a Maker or your Maker 3, you can always press recut. Okay, so I'm gonna move this over. Click done on Design Space and come here so that we can start weeding our design. So I'm going to be brave today and I'm going to use my trimmer. I love using the trimmer, she says confidently. Easy cut. I'm usually terrible at using the trimmer, mostly because I don't know how to measure stuff. And so I try to stay away from using the trimmer. But today she's being brave. If you have one of these trimmers and you didn't know, let me zoom out a little bit. If you didn't know, there is a ruler on the side. I have to show everyone that. Not only because it took me a whole year and a half to find out that that was there. Okay, so now we're going to weed our design. I like using this when I am weeding. It definitely helps. Now, usually when I'm doing permanent vinyl, if you've been in my classes, I always say weed from the inside. So, for example, the inside of the A, the inside of the P. But with iron-on, it really, I love weeding iron-on, so it doesn't really matter. So just grabbing a piece from the end and pulling it. Okay. So Candace said she's using her handheld iron. Does that mean your house iron? I will give you some tips when it comes to working with your house iron when we are pressing this as well. I know that a lot of beginners might not have a heat press. So if you do have a household iron and you are cutting a design, I still use the heat app. When I first got my Cricut, I didn't have a heat press. I would still use the heat app just to find out roughly the time and temperature vinyls need so that I can kind of judge exactly how long to use my house iron. So if it told me that it needed medium heat for 30 seconds with my house iron, I would do medium heat but go for 10 seconds at a time, just to make sure that it doesn't burn. Of course, a heat press is always preferable because you can set the temperature. With your house iron, the temperature is not constant, so you can't always judge when the press is like done completely. But you get to learn. I use my pajamas and I did a bunch of presses and I love it. They're talking about the 9x9. I do love the 9x9. Oh, I think I gave mine away though. I do love the Cricut 9x9. Did I just weed the wrong thing? Yes, I did. And this is why I love Cricut Iron-On, because I can just pop it back where it came from. So the piece that I actually weeded while I was talking to you, looking at the camera, was the piece that needed to stay. But that's fine, because it's iron-on and it's attached and I can easily just go oopsie and put it back exactly where it needs to be. She said yes, her house iron. You could definitely do projects with your house iron. I will give you some tips so that you can get the best results when using your house iron. I did when I first started. Of course, it was just t-shirts and stuff for me. I didn't sell, of course, if I'm using my house iron. I didn't, you know, do it for business. It was just for myself. You can definitely do it. And then once I saved up, I got myself a heat press. So I'm just going to put my heat press on. So I'm going to put it on medium heat. Let me go back here and see what I need to weed. And there. Okay, so I just weeded the outside of this makeup brush by accident, but it's back on. Okay, now that I've weeded my design, you can see the reason why we mirror is from when we put it on our blank, we put it this way, and now we can see it the right way up. Oh wait, I did miss something. I forgot these little hairs, or I don't know what you call them, on this mascara brush that needs to get weeded. Let me just grab them. They're very tiny. I almost forgot about them. I love this design. I think it looks so beautiful on these plain canvas bags. So that's why I'm doing this again. And I think I'm going to give it to my sister for her travels, so that when she comes down to South Africa again, she doesn't need to travel with the bag that she left here. Okay, that's just my way of saying I fully intend on stealing the bag that she left here and sending her home with this travel one. She has the cutest little bags. It's a Vera Bradley little quilted bag. And so I think it's a fair trade. She gets one of these makeup bags and I get to keep her little bag, and then she can travel with this one. Okay, there you go. Let's just make sure that my design is on properly. Okie dokie. So here is our design. Let me just remove this. And when you are doing iron-on, something you absolutely want to make sure that you have is a Cricut heat press mat. So tips when you are doing iron-on. First of all, if you have a lint roller, lint roll your item just to remove any dust that might be here, that might be on the bag. My lint roller is currently visiting a friend, so it's not here. You can also take a piece of tape. This is Cricut heat tape, and you can just use the tape to remove any lint, but this is fine. What is heat tape? If you were doing a design where you needed to hold something down or hold something in place, this is Cricut heat tape, which you can use underneath your iron or underneath your press. It doesn't burn. It's really, really great. Another thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you preheat your blank. Okay, so I'm just going to preheat my blank for a few minutes. It also helps to take away any creases as well, and it makes sure that when you put your design on, that it sticks nicely. Okay, when it comes to placement, something that you might want to do if you are not great with placement is fold your item in half, like so, and iron it. So if you're doing a t-shirt, you can fold it by the collar and press down here. I can see all of you guys. I can see the comments. All right, so you can see here what I've done with my blank is I've created a little center point. I don't want my design to be centered completely, so I'm not going to do one across. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my design, fold it in half, and press down here and press down here. You can also do this with vinyl. And so now you see I've given myself, or I've made a center point for me to be able to line up my design with the center point. This is a very good tip when you are working with t-shirts as well, especially if you're like me and a little not so great with lining things up. Now all I need to do is line up my folds that I've made in my design with the folds in the bag. And I like it here. I don't really want it to go high up. I like it with the little border here at the bottom. And so next, what you want is, now that I've created this fold, my design might lift up, so this would be the perfect time to use my heat tape, but I'm not going to. The next tip that I will give you is, this is butcher paper. If you don't have butcher paper, parchment paper, which is the non-wax paper that you find in your kitchen. So parchment paper or baking paper, the one that goes in the oven, is really great for you to use on top of your iron-ons to make sure that you don't burn your design and you don't burn your fabric. So if you were using black fabric, for example, and you were using the big press and you had a very small design, the press could singe or like kind of make a mark on your black fabric. And so using either butcher paper, Teflon, or parchment paper is a good idea. So it did say 25 seconds. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go for about 15 seconds. Just moving my little press around a little bit. Oh, I have to count. Okay, I'm gonna pretend like I was counting from the beginning. Okay, so I'm applying pressure and I'm just very slowly moving the mini press around. Can you tell I haven't used the mini press in a while? I'm thinking that my heat press is counting for me. Okay, I'm used to using the 12 by 10. So with the 12 by 10, you set the temperature, you set the time, you press go, and it does the countdown for you. With the mini press, you have to do the count. All right, so Cricut Iron-On Vinyls are cold peel. So we don't want to try lift up this vinyl until the bag cools down. Now I can see I didn't come all the way here to the bottom, so I'm going to do it again, just here at the bottom, and just go slowly. I didn't count, so we're going to just wing it today. All right, so while this is cooling down, I'm going to move it over here for a second, and I'm going to answer a few questions that we had, or that I had, at the East Coast Radio House and Garden Show. So here's a little t-shirt of mine that I brought with to show you a few things that might be happening when you are working with iron-on vinyl. Okay, So I had this question a lot, and actually Candace, somebody did ask me when they're using their house iron, why isn't the vinyl sticking? So when you are using your house iron, one thing you want to make sure that you do is you want to make sure that you turn off the steam. You want to make sure that the steam is turned off. I usually go on the light cotton setting. And like I said, you want to apply pressure. You do want to apply some pressure and keep your design moving. So this little guy is so cute. He says, R&R. Okay, so if you are doing your design and it's not sticking, one of the things that's probably happening is you're not waiting for your design to cool down before removing. Claudia said Cricut sells butcher paper. If somebody asks, yes, Cricut does sell butcher paper. Okay, so here's my design. If I peel up, can you see this? While it is still hot, it's not sticking to the t-shirt. Why? Because Cricut Iron-On vinyls are cold peel. When this is hot, just imagine that your glue is still activated, your glue is still melted. If I pull this up while it is still hot, it is not going to stick, exactly like you just saw here. So that's one of the reasons why your vinyl is probably not sticking to your t-shirt. Okay, the next one is a certified snack inspector. The other question that I had from people is, why is my vinyl cinching or wrinkling or curling up? The reason for that is because you're probably overheating it. So you don't want to, if you're using a house iron or your mini press, just pop it there and just leave it and forget about it. If you can see, I'm moving it slowly on my design to make sure that I'm covering my whole design. And I'm counting, I forgot to count again, but I'm just kind of eyeballing this. All right, so I'm gonna let this cool down a little bit before we remove it. And I want to show you with this one here, now that it is cold, I'm pulling it up and it's staying. Whereas when I first pulled it up earlier, that whole piece came up. That's because it was still hot. So if you are using Cricut Iron-On Vinyl, make sure that it's completely cool before you pull it up. Okay, let's see. I don't want to ruin one of these guys. And then the other reason, here's my little S that we designed. Why do we mirror the designs? So you can see here from the side, which is the back or the glue side. This is the shiny side. The S looks perfect, but once I flip it to put it onto my t-shirt, it's the wrong way around. So this is why we mirror our designs. Okay, so here's this raccoon. It's cooled down. I'm pulling it and now I'm going to try to burn it. Let's see. Okay, so now it is on. If I keep going, or if I'm using a heat press, my mini press, if I don't use the Cricut Heat app to guide me with the time and temperature, there's a possibility that I can overheat the vinyl, which is what's going to happen to this one. And the vinyl is going to burn, it's going to cinch. This is another reason why we use butcher paper or parchment paper or Teflon sheet. So you can see here, the vinyl is starting to wrinkle and like crinkle up. That's because it is overpressed. The glue is also coming up. Can you see there? The glue has burned through. So if you're seeing this, on your items, whether using the heat press or whether using your house iron, it's because you've overpressed or pressed it too much. You can see this cute little guy. Where is he? Ah, there you go. Here you can see there's no shiny spots or glue that's coming through. That's because it's been pressed perfectly. Where did I find this picture of myself? Oh no, on Design Space. He's the oh no guy that's showing you what you shouldn't be doing when we do iron-on projects. Okay, so coming back to our original design, I'm just going to peel up and check. And there you go. A perfect peel. I can see here this makeup lipstick thingy, whatever you call it, that needs a little bit of a press, and that's okay. If most of your design is down and there's a little piece that's still up, what I always like to do when I'm doing iron-on vinyl is once my design is done, I like to go through and do a 5 minutes a 5-second press just to make sure that it's down properly. And I can see here on the side my design wasn't completely down, but most of it is down, so I'm just going to pull that up anyways. I'm going to grab my butcher paper and just do a quick little press to make sure those 2 spots that were up go down. Okay, just applying some pressure to make sure that it is down, and that's perfect. Something I like to do with my t-shirts as well, either turn it inside out or turn it around and press from the back with some pressure. Here you don't have to put the butcher paper, but after I've done my t-shirts, I like to do like a quick 10-second press from the back, and that is our makeup bag that we've done. So that is our iron-on vinyl class. How cute is that? Super simple. Because this is a beginner class, like I said, we're just doing 1 layer. We will do more intermediate classes where you can learn how to do layering. And I hope this was helpful for you to kind of learn what you might be doing wrong, that you're not getting the best results with your iron-on, whether it's not mirroring or peeling up when your vinyl is still hot. Let it cool down completely, then pull up. Or if you're seeing any glue marks or cinching or curling of vinyl, that's possibly because you've overpressed. And then if you do get a little bit of, if you pulled up your vinyl too soon, and you might get a wrinkled piece of vinyl, not a burnt, but a wrinkled piece of vinyl, what you can also do is take the edge of your iron, hold down your material, turn it on its side and press. Just drag your press like this. If you have a wrinkled piece of vinyl, it actually does help to correct the mistake if you've had one, and you can see it's down. Okie dokie, thank you so much for joining this class. Now my sister and I can have matching makeup bags. I don't know, I'm putting snacks in my bags. I don't know what else to do. And I'm happy that you guys learned a few things from this class. We will have some new teachers on our roster soon, so please do join these classes. They're actually really great. And I will see you guys